When you're adjusting the bite, what are you specifically looking for?
There's a lot that we were looking for. It starts really with the planning before we even start the case. Because when you lose a teeth, you lose that suspension system that teeth have, guiding where the bite is, almost like sensors in your mouth to guide you as to where the upper teeth will meet the lower teeth. But when you lose that, it will be reprogrammed into a new bite. That bite is what we're looking at. We're first of all seeing that if the patient can be at a reproducible point whenever they bite, trying to train them to get to that bite. Secondly, we're looking at even contact, trying to make sure that when the upper jaw meets the lower jaw, so the lower jaw closes, we're making sure that everything is hitting at the same time, and we're making sure there's no interferences. Now, interferences is a fancy word. We're making sure that nothing is colliding in an aggressive way. So when your teeth slide from side to side, we're making sure that everything is evenly gliding across. So if we feel like something's hitting, that'll eventually cause stress in your bite, as well as can fracture your prosthetic later on. Important not just for implants, but even for natural teeth. The occlusion has to be adjusted perfectly, because if not, you get larger problems down the lane. Teeth start to get sensitivity, we get implant failure. In fact, one of the top reasons for implant failure is occlusion, which is why we have to dial it down perfectly before we head to the zirconia. We take a long time to finalize the bite in the healing phase, where you have temporaries, so that when you get to the final, we are not really adjusting much. The reason for that is you actually can't adjust zirconia so much, because zirconia is a very hard material. First off, you'd spend half a day adjusting zirconia if we had to. Secondly, zirconia can actually crack when it's adjusted due to the heat, as it can cause microfractures in the prosthetic, which can cause failure earlier than it should. We use these bite papers for testing the occlusion. We call them articulation papers, but these are just like different thicknesses, and they help us gauge how much micro gap or micro space we need between the teeth when patients. That's a summary of looking at. So we're looking at reproducibility, we're looking for balanced contacts and lack of any interferences. And let's say if you have a cantilever, which is a fancy word that you can see here, you got the implant is right here, but that tooth is hanging a little bit behind it. So when you bite down, you're not biting through the implant, you're actually biting behind the implant, and that force can essentially fracture this tooth off. Your bite has to be very light at that point.